Germany bans Turkish-trained imams and sets an integration plan. This is very interesting. Turkey is taking a significant step towards integrating its Muslim population by announcing the phasing out of Turkish trained imams and establishing a training program for imams on German soil. This decision by the German Interior Ministry addresses tensions between Germany and Turkey over the influence of Turkish trained clerics. The initiative will replace approximately 1,000 imams employed by the Turkish Diyanet, with 100 annually trained in Germany, starting in the town of Dahlem. German Interior Minister Nancy Faeser, um, emphasized the importance of this shift. Quote, "We need religious leaders who speak our language, know our country, and stand for our values." This move is also a response to concerns about the Turkish-Islamic umbrella group DITIB, which manages 900 out of the 2,500 mosque communities in Germany and has faced accusations of being an extended arm of the Turkish government. The plan, initially suggested by former Chancellor Angela Merkel in 2018, aims to foster a more independent and integrated Muslim community in Germany. So, our lovely editor D, everyone say thank you, D, in the live chat for being one of our best volunteers, um, sent me a lot of background information on this as well because she is a great researcher and helps the show a lot. Kisses D. Um, and so this is actually something that Germany has been working towards for like I think at least 10 years now. But now they've gone the step of actually saying we are no longer accepting foreign trained Turkish imams. And part of it is that they don't want people basically preaching in Turkish and Arabic, and also because they want to service the communities that are like maybe third generation Muslims in Germany who um actually prefer to have their sermons in their native language or their first language, which is actually German. Even though maybe ethnically they're Turkish. Um and So partially it's to service that community, and then partially it's also to stop the import of foreign trained imams that there is, some credible evidence to suggest is highly influenced by the Turkish government. And so they've just finally taken the step to just call it that and just, lay down the law in that direction. Um, I think this is a very interesting step. And there's been lots of issues with trying to implement German training for imams. Like there was this incident where they were, a lot of the universities in Germany have Christian roots. And so there's controversy about training imams in traditionally Christian institutions. And then there was also an incident where there was a guy who was a professor who was supposed to be implementing these trainings. This was a few years ago, and he was a German convert to Islam, and he was criticizing or questioning the historicity of Muhammad and if the Quran is actually directly from God, and people lost their mind.
Mhm. Wow.
Armin's face. Um, so that program didn't go so well. But, it's really interesting to see them, kind of restart this kind of program again. But Armin, what's your initial, like, gut reaction to this? How do you think this is gonna go down?
So when I went to Germany, I did notice that I don't know if it's a majority, but a huge portion of the mosques there are focused on Turkey, and it's understood that it's it's a method by Turkey to use them as a leverage, like the fact that they're funded and they send their people to these mosques. And I don't know if people understand how different mosques from different countries are a political tool as a way to have influence on the demographics and the politics and have their own supporters within the country to be able to have effects on elections and the way the direction of the politics um, goes. So what you have to look at mosque is that they're kind of like a lobby group. That's how mosques operate, depending on what country is and which version of Islam is it being what's their brand and who they're being supported, right? So some European countries have their mosques mostly funded by Turkey. Some of them have that by Iran. Some of them have it by Saudi Arabia. I think in Italy it's mostly Saudi Arabia, for example. And some, this is, for the same. By the way, it's interesting because Qatar hasn't gone the Islamic route when it comes to trying to control, manipulate different countries' politics. Qatar has gone the funding of woke ideology for some reason. That's right. So Qatar uses wokeism as a way to manipulate the politics of different Western countries, either European or North American. Turkey uses Turkish mosques. Saudi Arabia, I mean, not Saudis themselves, but the Wahhabis in Saudi Arabia use their madrasas and their mosques to influence politics of different countries. Iran uses not just mosques, but also Hosseinias or, Ashura rituals and
Processions.
processions, demonstrations, right? And they have been very clever with that, because technically sometimes they brand it not even as a religious procession, but like a freedom, like, it's a
It's
very
against
sneaky way to do.
oppression. And then you
Yeah,
look at
an
the flyer and it's, like,
anti-oppression
talking about Imam Hussein, and you're like, "Wait a minute."
as as a freedom fighter, right? Yeah, but again, this is political leverage. So and they have major influence, like you could kind of like the Khalistanis in Canada, right? But also, if you look at in Canada, in Vancouver, you see Shia, processions in many European countries in huge numbers, right? And you see that in Canada a lot too. These people, the fact that they're together, the fact that they're at events together, this is a very powerful political leverage. Like, these people vote, these people get directions, they get indirect directions from the country. They don't even notice that they're getting directions from the country. Like, you could be a Pakistani Shia living in Vancouver and not knowing that you are officially being commanded to be brainwashed in a certain way from Tehran, and you're not even Iranian. Right? You're just Shia, right? You don't know that's the reason why the imam at the ceremony is advocating for a certain thing, and you are being influenced by it, is because these are direct lines coming from Tehran, right? And again, Turkish mosque coming from Turkey. But it's a very powerful tool, and I'm glad Germany is taking it seriously, because Canada didn't take it seriously when it comes to Khalistanis, and now their politics is they can't even the politics is completely corrupted with them, right? So again, it is a powerful tool and it works, and that's why people use it, because it works. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Mm.
before we go to the super
Oh yeah,
chats, Armin, can you
and
bring up what I put in in the private chat? Because this made
yeah.
me remember this, and I just want to, because the idea is, okay, let's bring, because France had France had an initiative to try to create a French Islam, and I see this not completely, but somewhat as a similar as a similar push, because it's about, these people need to represent our values. And it reminded me, we need to provide Islamic teaching in the German language to our German speaking Muslims. So it reminded me of this tweet. And the caption is Germanic Islam, the combination the world isn't ready for yet. Okay, so the German government wants to bring the Germanic Islam to the people. Well, let's get a taste of what that sounds like, Armin.
You ready for this? Let me
Yeah, I
unmute
think it's
this.
muted. I think the screen
Yeah,
is
now
muted.
it's not
Okay, wait. Cool. Oh
not
my god,
anymore.
this is my favorite thing ever.
Wir können keine Blockhütte im Wald bauen, wo wir Namen draufschreiben. Und dann warten, bis irgendeiner sich verläuft. Wir können keine Blockhütte im Wald bauen, wo wir Namen draufschreiben. Und dann warten, bis irgendeiner sich...
Oh dear God. This is not a good combination. The German language and Islam is a horrible combination.
Again, Germanic Islam, the combination the world is not ready for yet.
Oh my God, it's pretty
If you scroll
scary.
down in the tweet, they actually have a longer version that's translated.
Oh really? Yeah,
right here.
this one?
Mhm.
Okay. Oh, I never.
Wait,
I always-
don't pause to read it yet. Just play it
Mm.
all the way through, because this is the longer version that's better.
Yeah.
Wir müssen die Dauer auf die Straße bringen. Wir müssen die Dauer zu den Menschen bringen. Wir müssen die Dauer in jedes Haus bringen. Wir müssen die Dauer überall hinbringen. Wir können keine Blockhütte im Wald bauen, wo wir Dauer draufschreiben und dann warten, bis irgendeiner sich verläuft.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wait.
Good stuff.
Okay, so that sorry, my Bluetooth just connected to my headphones, so I was hearing my own voice. But so for the people who don't know, dawa means like preaching Islam, like inviting people to Islam, right? Should I play it and read it again?
I mean, I
Should I
don't know.
do
Really, the point is
Oh
just
wait, why
to
don't
listen.
I hear you anymore? Hold on, I don't have your
Oh.
audio. Do other people have your audio? Let me just fix this. Say something.
Die Dauer in der Hausspringer.
There we go. Now I have your audio. All right, I think people got it. Get the point.
Yeah, basically, he's just yelling about bringing dawa to the streets and the houses.
Yeah. All right, so we have. Actually, before we go to the super chats, there was this comment. Drusilla was saying Saudi Arabia has used tons of money on sports. Yeah, that's a good comparison, because if but anyways, Saudi ideology, the Saudis are different from the Wahhabis in Saudi Arabia. So exactly what Saudis are doing with sports, the Wahhabis were doing with their mosques and their madrasas, right? So, but Saudis have gone secular, so they have using other methods rather than exporting Islam to try to have that political influence. And that's exactly it. Like the way Saudis are using sports, this is exactly how these mosques and other funding of these madrasas work. All right, let's do the super chats.
Yes, Sakai is saying, on ex-Muslim deists, I think people need to know that Allah is just Arabic for God. So some might say they might believe in Allah but are not Muslim. That's a very good point.
Well, actually, I don't know. No, most people who believe Allah is not just the Arabic for God. That's not true. A lot of people say that. It's not true. Allah is a name. Allah is the name of a god. It's kind of like Allah is more like Zeus than God. So Zeus doesn't mean God. Zeus is the name of a god. So it's not true. So I think the better word, the Arabic word for God kind of is like Rab, maybe. Rab would be God. But Allah is, a lot of people, Allah is more like Yahweh, not God.
But like Arab Christians, don't the word that they used to pray to the Christian God, isn't it Allah?
Not necessarily, not always. I went to a church an Arab church in Vancouver, and they made it. It was very important for them to not refer to God as Allah, because they thought that's Islamic. They said Rab. They use Rab, the Arabic word Rab.
That's very interesting.
Yeah, but again, some people might see it. I'm not saying it's not the word for God. Some people, depends on how people look at it, but sometimes it's not. Sometimes, there are Arab Christians who say, no, Allah is not our God. Jesus is our God. Allah. They don't say Jesus is Allah. I mean, how many Arabs go and say Jesus is Allah? They don't say that because they believe in Jesus as God. Would they say Jesus is Allah? Would they say Jesus is God? No. So no, Allah does not mean God. Allah is a name of a God.
Mm. Okay, GJ gave me another super chat saying, "You still don't get me, do you? I'm purely agnostic. I'm not convinced either way, so that makes me neither theist nor atheist. And this goes for so many people in Holland alone."
Well, that's not.
How
You
many
don't
times do we have
understand.
to explain the quadrant? These are not
Yeah, yeah.
mutually
Uh,
exclusive.
not mutual excuses. So GJ doesn't understand. I already explained to this. GJ, it's okay if you don't want to use the label atheist, but you are an atheist. An atheist is not somebody who says there's no God. An atheist is somebody who doesn't believe in God. So based on the definition of atheist, you cannot change the definition of words, even if you don't like the definition. Based on the common usage of the word atheist, based on how it's being defined outside of academia. Actually, that's how I should say it. Based on the definition of atheist outside of academia, you are an atheist. So again, you keep fighting me over this, but you can't change what words mean. If you don't believe in God, you are an atheist. So you are, GJ. So
It's about how firm your not knowing or knowing is. Secular Sakai is saying, "Oh, this is a question for you, Armin. Did the members only video answering our questions already air those posted about 1 or 2 weeks ago?"
no, not yet. I will
Okay.
get on it.
Okay.
Yes.
Gnome is saying Qatar is using wokeism and Bugattis. Bugatti. After Andrew Tate, I can only say Bugatti like one way. And GJ also said, "But anyway, before I say goodbye, guess what I drank last night to celebrate New Year? A special beer called the Duval 666. Duvel, which is Dutch for devil, and the monk brew is 6.66% alcohol." Okay,
Oh,
well
that's
there you
fun.
go.
I like that.
Sid Dave gave us another super chat, being very generous today. Thank you, Dave. Saying, "I think they should appoint queers for Palestine or Instagram reverts to teach in mosques. I am all for that. They will teach about Allah's non-binary nature. That would be hilarious. I would pay money to watch that. I would pay money to watch that. That would be a great reality TV show." And Asian American celebrating his membership for 2 years. 2 years a member. Everyone lay down and respect the name. Saying happy 2024th year of your ex-lord. Thank you very much, Cajun. That's a very respectful word.
Ex-lord.
Yeah, exactly. Year of our Lord. Year of my ex-lord. How respectful. Thank you, Cajun. And thank you to everyone that was here for our 300th episode. That wraps up first show of the year and 300 episodes. I had a ton of fun today. Thank you, everyone, for making this show so much fun, for the community that you provide and bring to us every week, for all the support you give us. It's amazing. Do you have any sentimental thoughts to share on our 300th episode?
I'm more interested in responding to this super chat because it's sorry, I'm not I'm so bad at being sentimental. I'm nerding. I was nerding out thinking about whether this makes sense or not.
Go for it.
Just sorry. Rachel. So this is why you're the CEO. You're better with the sentimental stuff. Rachel saying, "I'm an
Emotional
agnostic
IQ.
yeah. we were having a conversation about this before we went live. She said, "I don't have emotional IQ." I guess you're right. Okay.
No, because
Rachel is
Woman
saying,
was talking about how in the future, what is going to be a very highly prized commodity is essentially emotional IQ. Those like the people with that are gonna be successful. And I said, "Well, what are you gonna do?"
Okay. Ouch. Ouch. Okay.
Okay. I apologize. Continue.
Yeah. So Razel is saying, I'm an agnostic theist. I don't believe it is possible to know either way, but I choose to believe whatever gives me comfort. This is very interesting because the whole Gnostic, agnostic theist didn't make sense to me, because I understand that agnostic atheists exist and Gnostic atheists exist. But I was like, when people are theists, they just believed, like, we only have Gnostic theists. But now that I'm reading Razel's comment, it kind of makes sense. I mean, you're a rare kind, Razel, right? We don't have that many agnostic theists. But what you're describing to me is technically agnostic theism, which is you're using the definition accurately, but you guys are very, very rare. So that's interesting. Do you know who makes the most amazing, gorgeous, and other adjectives that I can't use here on YouTube, blasphemous art ever? We do. And for some reason, we are giving it away for free. Download them now using the link in the description before we change our mind.